watching Scrapple TV.
Mark Brodzik, Scrapple TV. I'm here with Skip Blumberg. He is one of the pioneers and forefathers of pirate television. Skip.
Hey.
Thank you for coming to our studio.
Hey, great to be here.
What are you in town for?
Well, tonight we're having a screening at Vox Populi of the VideoFreex pirate TV show.
It really doesn't pay to be a gloomy pill. It's absolutely most ridiculous, positively still. The rain may pitter patter, it really doesn't matter. For life can be delish with a sunny disposition.
You originally were in New York City, in Soho, was that?
Yep, it's true. We were on Prince Street in the late 1960s. We started a studio similar to this, except we had kind of a pink floor, not a blue floor. And there were about 10 of us that were what we call the founding members. Mm-hmm. But there were probably, over the 9 years of existence of our collective production group, maybe 50 people who passed through as regular contributors. So in the 60s, or what you call the 60s, but really it's the 60s and the 70s, mm-hmm. Besides computers and internet and all of that that was advancing, the first portable consumer video was introduced. And it was reel-to-reel, and it was supposed to be for families and to replace Super 8 movies, or for schools or for corporations. But because it was reel-to-reel and the tape cinched and it was just a pain in the neck, whoever bought it generally took it and put it in their closet and didn't use it, except that activists and artists started using mm-hmm. it, and there was a small community of people, first in New York and in other places around the country. We started using this gear not to make cheap movies, but television at that time was like the most important source of news and entertainment. There were 3 channels probably, or 5 channels mm-hmm. in Philadelphia, and in many of the bigger cities there was only 5, 7 channels. That was it. There was no YouTube, there was none of that. And so we started using this equipment to cover this alternate culture world and to get the word out and to mail tapes to friends around the country or to around the world. And it was used to, help further this movement, bring information to people. And then the other thing about that era that I see that you're doing here at Scrapple TV is that we were part of a movement. Mm-hmm. And it's really important for us even now to be thinking about movements. Occupy Wall Street worked for a little while, but it ended. And not enough was accomplished by it. There was a lot of publicity, but there wasn't a lot of legislation as a result of it. The system keeps the momentum going forward in the same way, and we got to put the brakes on somehow and change the world before it's too late. And the way to do that is mass movements. And when you start doing media, it feels very powerful. I mean, this was the way it was like in the 60s when I started, and I'm sure you have the same sense. Anybody that picks up a camera for the first time, that responds, that connects to the camera, suddenly feels this power. Suddenly, I can speak with a louder voice. You can shout without raising your voice.
You can look at Arab Spring, you can look at all these other events that happen around the world, and the first thing they shut down is the Twitter feeds and Facebook feeds and the internet, because everybody does have a camera in their pockets now, and the social injustice that's going on can be seen.
Let there be in New Haven today a mighty surge of voices that say one and one thing only: free our brothers, free our sisters, free all political prisoners, free the third world, all power to the people.
So at first we were on Prince Street in Soho, just when when Soho was taking off as a residential neighborhood and was filled with artists, and then we moved after a while. It was too expensive for us to live in the city. There were 10 of us. We had apartments all over the place, and we moved to a 17-bedroom house about 150 miles north of New York City, in the heart of the Catskill Mountains. Mostly like country people lived in this backwoods area, so off the beaten track. and a bunch of long-haired people. At the time, my hair was down to my ass, and it was blonde. I had color at that point. I was a person with color. And we stayed together altogether for 9 years as a collective with a leaderless group. And I tried to have meetings of the group, but they just would dissolve after like a half an hour into separate conversations, and there was no way to have a meeting. But we were able to keep together just from mutual respect of each other, and the fact that we sort of divided up our tasks so that we had our domains in the group, each of us, and we all wanted to be productive.
I think you were talking about everybody has their personalities and they're all doing their things, and it's hard to wrangle everybody together. I don't think of pirate television as like we're stealing the airwaves, which you were in some respects, because you got a transmitter and you were broadcasting
without a FCC license.
Yeah, so that is true.
Totally
that is
illegal.
True pirate television.
Yeah.
But I think of pirate television in the respect of like we're privateers. We're people that said, "F the man. We're not going to work for these people anymore. We're going to do this on our own. We'll build our own ship and we'll storm the seas ourselves." You know, and to me, that's that. Like, let's kind of do this. Gusto.
Well, having the skills is important. In other words, you know, you need to survive in the world. You need to be able. One of the reasons why we were successful for 9 years is because we had one guy who really knew how to fix the gear, and nobody else had Chuck Kennedy, and we were able to fix our gear and everybody else, our friends' gear, and you know, it kept us in motion. I was like a business guy, and I had gone to graduate school in business, and I was able to, you know, deal with money and write proposals and things like that. We had one guy, David Court, who was sort of like a charismatic leader with a big beard and a lot of hair and a giant laugh. But he was also like the most accident-prone and stoned out, and often would lead us into wrong directions. But it does take this, in this day and age, I think you do need somebody who holds the group together.
Do you have any advice for us, young kids, younger kids? I'm not so much younger than you, but these kids that are coming up today, like they have so much in front of them and all this technology.
Well, flossing is really something that you don't think about when you're a kid, that you are reminded
Regret
of.
when you get older.
Sometimes, yeah. So I'd
Savings,
say
floss.
You know, a lot of people now come out of college and they're looking for a job, and this is important, and speaking as a parent, to support themselves. Which is something you know, that you got to do, and have a career and succeed in that way of status and money. But you know, it's an empty life if that's all your life is.
Money! 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 Money!
So there you go.
Awesome. Thank you very much.
Okay,
thank you for coming.
Yeah,
Good luck
yeah.
with
Great to
your
meet you.
speak
Thanks
tonight
for
at
the
the
coffee.
box.